Hey everybody, my name is AceFangirl, and welcome back to another bonus episode. I said it right this time, for Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. Last time, honestly, a lot happened. Mukoto and Kyoko had a talk, which is kind of what I wanted the whole time, because Kyoko's the best. And then, Mukoto and Junko got in a huge drag-down brawl in front of the door to leave, because Mukoto wants Junko to let everyone out, and Junko's like, why would I do that? And I'm like, fair, honestly. So they're fighting, and we were seeing everything from Mukoto's point of view, but this is looking a lot like Junko, and I am very interested to see what she's thinking. So let's do it. How much time had passed? The surveillance cameras at the gates were capturing footage of countless Monokumas falling at the hands of a child who fought like a raging demon. The Monokumas bolstered their numbers, and now 100 of them were trying to sink their claws into Mukoto. But they won't! Most of them were running on autopilot, reacting to her movements based on prior information they had received in advance. But despite standing before hundreds of mechanical adversaries, Mukoto's face showed no fear. She hadn't sustained a single injury, giving her a presence that was nearly divine to behold. Though Sakura Ogami was powerful enough to injure her arm, Mukoto in her current state could potentially fight Sakura to a draw now without relying on firearms. She took complete control of the battlefield, taking in her surroundings as if they were a part of herself. Are we not going to see Junko, even though we're seeing this image? She dodged attacks from the rear as though she had eyes in the back of her head, and stabbed through Monokuma's weak points with her metal bar. No matter where the attacks came from, Mukoto deflected them all as if her skin were covered in eyes. That's disgusting. Describing her as ultimate no longer did her justice. Mukoto had transcended the boundaries of humanity and become a pure killing machine. And becoming. I don't think that's proper English. But despite that, even though she understood the ludicrous power her sister possessed, Junko was not afraid. She felt not one iota of fear. After all Junko can feel is despair. She even started to admire her sister's attempt to fill her with despair, but that sentiment quickly filled Junko with an— wow, I've never seen orgy as an adjective before. Orgiastic? I'm gonna go with that. Ecstasy of despair. Junko knew. She knew that Mukoto was neither hope nor despair. She was just a phenomenon. A disappointing girl who no longer understood herself, who only knew how to be violent because it was all she could believe in anymore. Mukoto had become an avatar of destruction, beyond that of any military force. She couldn't even be considered a soldier anymore. She was a natural disaster like a typhoon or a tornado. Or perhaps, like gravity, she was now a fundamental force of the universe that only existed to bring despair to Junko. The mastermind enjoyed watching her sister go all out. If Mukoto destroyed everything and ruined her life, Junko would still be comforted by the despair. She could just go right ahead and overpower her. Junko considered this for a few seconds until a familiar, hopeless habit reared its head. Her habit of getting so bored that it made her sick. The girl had been grinning as she watched the screen, now bore a look of calm stoicism, and she reached for the microphone connected to Monokuma's speakers. Mukoto was no longer human anymore, but Junko knew how to bring her back. It was a simple feeling, really, and with that hopeless feeling for Mukoto in mind, the mastermind said just one word. Mukoto. Oh. Now that's it? That's all we get to see from Junko? Aw, man! I want to see more of Junko. Mukoto. That voice. It was calling her name. Instead of using Monokuma's voice filter, Junko's natural voice was coming out of a Monokuma unit. That's all it took. With one word, Mukoto Ikusaba stopped being a force of nature and became a person again. Monokuma would not miss this opportunity. As if moving to the beat of Mukoto's shaking heart, a torrent of claws leapt to attack her. But Mukoto trusted her instincts and twisted her entire body to fend off the attacks, leaving her with only a few scrapes here and there. But the despair wasn't over yet. The ultimate despair didn't waste any time making her next move. Mukoto, watch out! Huh? As soon as Mukoto heard that voice, her mind went completely blank. There was no mistaking it. That was Makoto's scream. The scream that saved her from the spears of Gungnir and changed her destiny. No, that's wrong. It took her a tenth of a second to realize the voice was just a sound clip that Junko had replayed. But it was more than enough time to drag Mukoto, who had regained her humanity, into despair. Right when she recovered from her moment of shock, Monokuma appeared behind her and roundhouse kicked her in the temple. She twisted her head to roll with the blow, but at that moment, a different Monokuma attacked her from the opposite side with a headbutt. And as soon as Mukoto dodged that attack, 3 Monokumas launched simultaneous drop kicks and knocked her to the ground. Ugh. The fact that they weren't using their claws meant they weren't trying to kill Mukoto right away. Before she could stand up again, dozens of Monokumas waiting for her on the floor climbed on top of Mukoto and pinned her limbs. One of the Monokumas waddled over to Mukoto as she lay face down on the floor and laughed. A pretty girl getting pinned by all these me's. I wonder if I should feel more excited about this. Don't make that face. If I wanted to kill you, I'd just pump you full of bullets right now. But I don't think the audience watching this on TV would like that ending very much. I need to make sure I do it the right way this time. What are you planning to do to me? Mukuro asked in her emotionless voice. Monokuma guffawed and answered, Nothing. I'm just gonna stick to the original plan and make you play the killing game at the school. I'll erase everyone's memories again, and I'll just make them redo the introduction and the entrance ceremony again. In typical Monokuma fashion, he leaned his face toward Mukoto. But it'd be boring if we had to redo everything. Maybe this time I'll have you participate as Mukoto Ikusaba. I'll take away even more of your memories like I did to that irritating detective girl. You'll just be a poor little girl with no memory at all. As Monokuma talked and wiggled his body from side to side, the other Monokumas danced and twirled around. Amid this fantastical scene, Monokuma continued to describe his hopeless plan in a nonchalant manner. At first, you'll be the girl with amnesia, and everyone will feel so sorry for you. But as they unravel the mystery of this academy, they'll find out who you really are. It's exciting to think how they'll treat you when that happens. Knowing you, you'll probably kill someone purely on instinct. Maybe I should rethink my rules about self-defense. You can't. Her memories would be erased. There was nothing she could do about her classmates hating her, but losing even her childhood memories would mean her connection to Junko would be severed as well. Even if Mukoto had no interest in the world, that was unbearable even for her. I've heard of New Game Plus before, but this is the first time I'll get to see a New Game Minus. Should I tie you up for fun? Or maybe we should make this game even more masochistic. Forget hard mode, very hard mode, and inferno mode. Want to just skip ahead to impossible mode? Maybe. I'll erase your memories after I drag you on a motorcycle, pummel you with 1,000 baseballs, burn you at the stake, and crush you with an excavator. Oh no! That's all the assassinations from Game 1. Mukoto knew what Monokuma was talking about. He was describing the tools they had prepared for the various executions they had planned for the students. After everyone reintroduces themselves, they'll walk around the school grounds and eventually find a flat-chested girl with amnesia, covered in bandages with Fenrir's tattoo on her right hand. I bet a certain fan base might get off on that. Yeah, I bet. If this were a game, that would increase sales by 500%, but it's not. Though Monokuma sounded like he was joking, everything he said was deadly serious. As evidence, Mukoto heard a rumbling sound off in the distance. Now then, your sweet ride is on its way. Based on the engine's noise, Mukoto surmised that it was the large motorcycle that was supposed to be used for one of the executions. I took the time to bring this all the way from the punishment room, so you better be grateful. The sound of the roaring engine grew louder and louder like the approaching footsteps of death. Mukoto wondered how Monokuma would drive it with such tiny arms and legs, but then she remembered she was dealing with an ultimate despair. Junko would make the impossible possible just to bring about despair. A despair that went hand in hand with Mukoto's fate. Did I fail? I couldn't fill Junko with despair? I couldn't save Makoto and the others? Questions raced through Mukoto's mind, but she wasn't able to answer them. There's no way she could have answered them so easily. After all, she was still alive. The sound of the motorcycle grew closer and closer as if it was threatening to break Mukoto's spirit. Suddenly, Monokuma stopped moving. The other Monokumas continued doing their automatic movements. As this strange event unfolded, Mukoto noticed something. The motorcycle had suddenly gone quiet. After a few seconds, the engine exploded to life and began to approach even faster than before. Is she coming? Only a few seconds later, what appeared in front of the main entrance was an enormous motorcycle that plowed through groups of Monokumas like a predator hunting its prey. The rider of this motorcycle was none other than Mondo Owada. Excuse me? Mukoto and Monokuma were both visibly shocked by this turn of events. Instead of addressing them, Mondo accelerated the motorcycle he stole from Monokuma directly towards Mukoto. Just before his front tire touched Mukoto, he popped a reverse wheelie and turned the entire motorcycle around. The back wheels swept over Mukoto's back, knocking away all the Monokumas that were pinning her. Hey, can you stand? Mondo asked, begrudgingly offered his hand to Mukoto. Confused, Mukudo took his hand and stood up. What are you doing, Mondo? I was so close! One of the Monokumas— oh, sorry, that was Monokuma. Not in his normal voice, but as the hacker, Bashiki Maruai. Oh, yeah, you're a Bashiki or whatever, right? That's right, why are you helping a terrorist? I ain't bragging about this or anything, but I have no clue if you or this girl's lying. The veins in his temple began to bulge and his cheeks flushed with anger as Mondo said. But still, I ain't the type to just stand around while some idiot gangs up on a girl. What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself! You must be experiencing Stockholm Syndrome! You've deluded yourself into thinking you're friends with the criminal who's taken you hostage! Monokuma tried to explain to Mondo, but he ignored him, took Mukudo's hand, and pulled her onto the back of the motorcycle. Oh, shut the fuck up. I don't know nothing about Stockholms or syndromes, but don't go acting like you can boss me around. As Mondo shouted, he revved the motorcycle as if he was using it to punctuate his words. The ceiling-mounted turrets began moving, but the two disappeared before the turrets could take aim at the motorcycle. As they zoomed through the hallway, we're just driving through the school. Countless Monokumas chased after them, waving their claws wildly through the air. Why? Asked Mukudo. Huh? Shouted Mondo. His voice was even louder than the sound of the engine. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't trust you at all. He lowered his voice slightly as if he were whispering to himself. Still, I don't know why, but I felt like I could trust what he said. Is it Makoto? He? Inquired Mukudo. But there was no time for questions. The unit leading the Monokumas chasing after the motorcycle had almost caught up to them. And then, like the enormous maw of some fearsome creature, they brandished their claws in perfect unison. At that moment, the motorcycle zoomed by a certain girl. A girl whose fighting ability surpasses that of any normal human, the strongest girl on Earth. With a fighting spirit that defied comprehension, the ultimate martial artist kicked off the floor. A sound even louder than the motorcycle— oops. I just unplugged my headphones. Wait for that to come back? Yeah. Even louder than the motorcycle's engine filled the room. When Mukudo looked back, she saw Sakura landing on the floor, sending the pack of Monokumas flying several meters away. Sakura? If she heard Mukudo mumble her name, Sakura didn't acknowledge it. I doubt she did. You're on a super loud motorcycle. Like a statue of a fearsome god king, or maybe an ogre, she calmed her breathing as she stood before the pack of Monokumas ready for battle. Your pursuit methods seem unbecoming for one who claims to be the ultimate hacker. An overpowering aura seeped from her skin, and her skin shimmered as an intense heat began to fill the hallway. Unlike the power of Mukudo's sheer violence, this was the power of martial arts. Hell yeah. Mukudo froze the air around her and time along with it, but Sakura was generating enough heat to boil space itself as she stood before Monokumas. With that heat stinging her back, Mukudo looked ahead. Hifumi and Chihiro were cautiously peeking from behind the doors leading to the dorms, while Aoi and Taka kept watch from inside the building. After passing them by, Mondo slowed down the motorcycle as he reached the front of the cafeteria and turned into a complete stop. The other students looked warily at Mukudo. But among these students, Mukudo noticed two people who weren't regarding her with suspicion. One was Kyoko, who seemed to be studying the situation. The other one was a skinny boy who was leaning against Kyoko's shoulder. Makoto? Mukudo's lips began to tremble as she sat on the back of the motorcycle. Ignoring the pain coursing through his body, Makoto smiled at Mukudo and repeated what he had said to her earlier. I'm glad you're safe, Mukudo. Unfortunately, Mukudo was unable to realize her hope of filling her little sister with despair. Instead, she successfully planted the seeds of hope into her fellow students. Alright, well, I was only going to do 2 at a time, but that was real short, so I guess we're doing another one. Makoto had barely regained consciousness while Mukudo was fighting the horde of Monokumas at the main entrance. When he woke up, he did something extremely simple. He talked about his memories. Most of the students were still skeptical, even after listening to Mukudo's recorded confession on Chihiro's laptop. Obviously, they were still not entirely convinced at first when Makoto woke up, but after Sakura asked him a certain question, the ambience completely changed. Then beyond the walls of this school, the world is completely destroyed? You're saying there's no one else alive? Makoto slowly sat up to answer Sakura's meek question. Don't worry, I'm sure Kenichiro is still safe. I'm sure he'll still keep his promise to you. Sakura gasped. How did he know? Kenichiro was the only man she couldn't defeat, a man who had promised her a rematch and made her one other promise as well. How do you know that name? How do you know about that promise? Because you told me. No. Makoto slowly corrected himself. You told all of us. Sakura was silent after hearing those words. But she then faced the other students and spoke in a loud, clear voice. I'm going to trust Makoto. Sakura! Though Aoi was shocked, oh my god, these two, Sakura continued to speak with determination. What Makoto just said is something I kept locked away inside my memories. In fact, I was planning to keep that a secret until the day I died. But if I shared that secret, that means there was once a strong bond between Makoto, myself, and with my fellow students as well. Makoto continued to talk in a gentle tone. Though it couldn't have been good for his health, he continued to slowly talk about the memories that the other students no longer had. Why do you know about the story I'm planning to write? Are you a specialist net user who can predict the future? You already finished that story, Hifumi. You had me help you with inking. What? Wait a sec! How do you know I extorted money from that girl related to the Kuzuryu clan? Oh no! I knew they had to be connected somehow. Wait, oh, do you think that's, Fuyuhiko's older sister or something? Because you even tried to sell my organs to them. His wounds were excruciating. But even so, Makoto kept smiling and talking about their lives together, as if it was his duty to do so now that he had regained his memories. As the other students listened to him, they slowly began to realize something. The vivid accounts he was providing couldn't be explained as just passing knowledge. Clearly, some kind of bond between them had all been erased. Oh, that was Hiro, right? The organ selling? That sounds right. Only Byakuya remained cynical. Of course he does. There's no way I would have grown closer to any of you. It's likely that you're all secretly working together. Though Byakuya was still hot recollection of their memories. For the time being, he determined that Makoto wasn't actually a terrorist. Mukuro had bought enough time for Makoto to wake up and share his memories with the others. Even if she hadn't intended to do that, it was still a small sliver of hope that she grasped tightly. Alright, now these are getting shorter. And now? As she looked at the boy who had smiled at her, Mukuro didn't know what to say. She couldn't think of anything to say at all. The battle was over, and Mukuro was now back to being a disappointing girl. She turned away from everyone's faces and apologetically climbed off the back of the motorcycle. Makoto saw her and slowly opened his mouth to say, Thank you, Mukuro. You saved my life. Makoto gave her words of sincere gratitude between his weak breaths. Mukuro couldn't bring herself to look at him as she mumbled to herself. Why? Huh? If Kyoko told you, then you already know what I did, right? After regaining his memories and learning the truth, Mukuro should have been nothing but a hated traitor to him. Why would he smile at someone like her? Mukuro kept her head down. Makoto smiled as if he was unsure how to respond and said, Well, I guess you're right. But you also saved my life many times during these past 2 years, and Makoto took a deep, quiet breath and smiled at Mukuro again. Oh my god, do not confess right now. Do not sink my Makoto-Kyoko ship. I will be peeved. You're my friend. Oh good, friend zone her. We've all spent time with each other. It'd be great if you could look for a different path, not despair. And if there's any way I can help you, I will. Do you really think I can walk another path at this point? I don't know what you can do, or even what I can do. But I think it's more important to look for that path instead of actually finding it. Was this intentional or a coincidence? Just before he regained his memories, Makoto had said something similar to Mukuro when she spoke to him in the nurse's office as Junko. Regardless of whether he lost his memories or regained them, those words revealed Makoto's true character. As Mukuro confirmed that to herself, Makoto blurted out something that was almost too trusting. And it's not just you. Even Junko can. I don't know about that. But he was immediately interrupted. Oh no, don't show me that close-up, Monokuma, I hate that. Monokuma's face appeared on every monitor in the academy, and his laughter seemed to be coming out of every speaker. I could have kept pretending to be that ultimate hacker, but it's boring to impersonate someone who doesn't even exist. If this keeps up, I'll lose my identity and turn into Kanekuma. Oh, so funny. Kyoko looked up at a surveillance camera and addressed Monokuma directly. You seem to give up pretty easily. There isn't a bear anywhere that gives up as easily as I do. Regardless, I'm pretty sure Chihiro has figured out the secret of my control program by now. So, just as I thought, you included that program on purpose. Kyoko realized something when Mukuro told her about Junko. There were 2 reasons such a hateful person would intentionally leave an obvious clue inside the Monokuma units. Either Junko wanted the students to learn the truth about the outside world and themselves on their own and turn their hopes into despair, or she was looking forward to that clue resulting in her own plan being undone, which would allow her to feel despair towards herself. Or both. I don't think those are mutually exclusive. She was an angel of everlasting darkness, delighting in her own despair and using it to spread despair and destruction to those around her. Why would someone like that continue to play the role of Monokuma? Actually, I set that program for Chihiro to discover if she happened to be one of the final 5 survivors. I feel so sad and empty that my preparation was a waste, but I'm going to think about it positively. The word retreat doesn't exist in Monokuma's dictionary. Nervousness began to grip the students as Monokuma continued talking in his relaxing, uplifting voice. Now then, it looks like everyone's here, including Toko, who's still tied up in her room. So, let's start the heart-throbbing, exciting special graduation exam! Huh? The students broke out in noisy confusion, but Monokuma ignored them and kept talking. Don't think about it too hard. Relax. Change elax to Rupert? For all I care, and I'll still be the most adorable bear here. That one went over my head, Danganronpa, gonna be honest. Byakuya, visibly annoyed with Monokuma's nonsensical rambling, shouted, I already know it's you, Junko. Stop this stupid game and show yourself. Oh my, don't you know? If you want to lure the mastermind out of her heavenly hidey hole, you need to bring a worthy sacrifice. You're not worthy enough at all. Do you really think the mastermind would show herself for your pathetic hope and despair? He roared maniacally, then began to explain the special graduation exam. If you pass my exam, everyone will graduate. But if you fail, you'll be held back for a whole year. I'll reset your memories, give you a fresh new lease on life, and you'll reintroduce yourselves at the start of the school year again. They say people's lives don't come with reset buttons, but I'm not a people. Whether it's soft resets or hard resets, I can do as I please. Yasuhiro seemed confused, but the other students knew what Monokuma meant by reset. He was going to force them to relive their school lives once again. As Yasuhiro struggled to understand, Taka pointed at a nearby monitor and shouted, Stop this already! No matter what you do to us, we'll never commit murder. These past few days should have already made that clear to you. What was that? Jumped Monokuma. Are you serious? Of course, no one here would ever take another human being's life for any reason. As Taka shouted, one of the students, a pale-faced girl standing apart from the others, looked away. Sayaka, I'm looking at you. It was Sayaka. As she trembled, a voice popped up from behind her. What do you think, Sayaka? She couldn't even turn around from sheer terror, but Sayaka knew. She knew Monokuma was standing right behind her. Do you really think none of you will become a killer? Monokuma leaned towards Sayaka and asked her a question only she could hear. By the way, Sayaka, why did you go to Makoto's room when nothing strange had happened yet? Did you two have an inappropriate relationship? What would your fans think if they found out you made a move on a boy by sneaking into his room? Or were you there for some other reason? She could barely make a sound, much less scream, as her trembling worsened. Monokuma had nothing to gain by cornering Sakura and toying with her emotions like this. Oh, Sayaka, I said Sakura. I think I did that so many times in the original LP. He simply wanted to see the young singer fall into despair over her true character. And for that reason, Monokuma did not relent. Hey. What were you trying to do to your close friend you've known for the past 2 years? Her determination from last night blended with the memories Makoto had recounted and ate away at Sayaka's mind like a disease. As her mind began to rip itself apart, she fell to her knees. A clear ball, flying at just under 105 miles per hour, struck Monokuma in the mouth with enough force to sink into his face. Is that Leon? The speaker in Monokuma's mouth was immediately destroyed as his body rolled into a wall and stopped moving. Sayaka came to her senses and looked to where the ball came flying from. She saw Leon, breathing heavily as he stared intensely at Monokuma. If that is not ironic, I don't know what is. Yasuhiro grabbed him and yelled, Dude, why'd you do that, Leon? That crystal ball's really valuable. Leon had stolen Yasuhiro's crystal ball and thrown it at Monokuma. That Monokuma bastard was trying to take Sayaka hostage. What was I supposed to do? Dude, that crystal ball cost me $2 trillion. $2 trillion. They don't even print that much money anymore. Oh, bullshit. Besides, the world's all screwed up. What the hell are you gonna need money for anyway? But if it's safe out there, I'll just join the major leagues or whatever and pay you back. Well, I could pay you back doing something else besides baseball. As those two argued, Sayaka fell to her knees. Hey, shouted Leon, running towards her. Sayaka, are you okay? She looked at him and stared blankly. Leon. She'd made up her mind as she raised her head as she said, There's something I need to confess to you later. I was straight up going to murder you. What? Seriously? Sayaka was staring at Leon so intensely that he briefly forgot about the current situation. It is not that, darling. Not just to you, but to Makoto and the others too. Sayaka had made up her mind to confess the sin that was weighing heavily on her heart, but Leon seemed not to hear the latter half of her remark. He ran back to the others, slapped Tifumi and Yasuhiro on their backs, and shouted, "Alright everyone, let's ace this exam or whatever and get out of here already so I can date this chick. There's no way I'm gonna let my happy memories of this place get taken away." The Monokuma inside the monitor responded, "Fine, fine. Now that things are finally coming to a boil, let's start the graduation exam." Sakura, who had been outside the dormitory, suddenly appeared with some information. The Monokumas in the hallway are acting peculiar. The students all moved to the main building to see what Sakura was talking about. There they saw 50 Monokumas standing in 2 rows along the walls of the hallway and one standing at the very end of the hall. There was something strange on top of this Monokuma's head. An enlarged version of the escape button that Makoto had obtained from the Mono machine. As each student took in this sight, an announcement rang throughout the school. The me at the end of the hall has a button on top of his head that'll open the main entrance. You'll have 15 seconds to get that button, and if you do, I'll let you have it in place of a diploma. The student seemed surprised by the straightforward explanation. Only Celeste remained calm, and she asked Monokuma with a bored look on her face. Of course it is not as simple as running up and taking it, is it? Oh, how mean! Do I look like the kind of headmaster that would interfere with his students' graduation? Forget the gunfire salutes, I'm gonna send my graduates off with some fireworks. 100 fireworks to be exact, enough for 20 seconds of hardcore partying. The more perceptive students immediately realized what he was talking about. The bombs installed inside each Monokuma. They would explode, one after the other, filling the hallway with fire as soon as time started. After 15 seconds, the me, standing at the back of the hall, is gonna sacrifice himself to give you guys one final firework. By the way, this probably isn't important, but that button isn't very durable. This graduation exam was Monokuma's way of saying that he had no intention of letting anyone leave. It was clear from the explosion the students saw during the entrance exam that the halls of Hope's Peak Academy would be bathed in fire. Even if someone was lucky enough to survive the explosion, the burns on their body alone would be enough to send them into fatal shock. Their lungs might be completely incinerated by the scorched air before that. Even if they sacrificed one student to run through, the odds were low they would even succeed. But if there was no reason for every student to run in at once either, and a shadow of despair fell upon their faces. Nice. Very nice. I almost want to take a picture, so I have those faces as a souvenir. As Monokuma laughed from behind the monitor, Sakura stepped forward. I'll do it. I have only seen the explosion once, but I believe I'm capable of withstanding its power. No, shouted Oh, you can't! Even if you could handle 100 of those explosions. Sakura shook her head. I'm the only one who even has a chance. Suddenly, Mondo remembered the motorcycle he parked inside the dormitory and said, Hold up, that motorcycle might be fast enough to go through those explosions. I'll do it. Don't be hasty, urged Sakura. Even if the motorcycle is unharmed by the explosion, that doesn't mean its rider will be. As Sakura and the others continued their debate, one person stepped towards the hallway lined with Monokumas. I'll do it. Mukuro, screamed Makoto weakly. Makuro. Is that their ship name? With her back facing Makoto, turned her head to the side slightly, and gave him a small nod. She knew it would come to this. She knew why Monokuma would pose such an impossible exam. Junko's already looking forward to the next despair game. She's going to erase everyone's memories, including mine. She just wants to torment us and fill us with despair before that happens. But Mukuro knew her sister's personality all too well, and that's why she was confident. She knew that the escape button was real. Whenever Junko brought despair to others, she always made sure there was a possibility that despair would befall her instead. If the students won this gamble and made it through this horrible situation, they would finally escape to the outside world. That outcome would obviously fill Junko with immense despair. In the same way she left a clue in Monokuma's control program, Junko could not be satisfied unless she took pains to assure her own destruction. It was this quality that made Junko the ultimate despair. That's why Mukuro was determined to do it. She knew she was the only person who stood a chance of making that outcome possible, even if she had to risk her life. But, right now, Mukuro wanted to live more than anything. She wanted to hold on to this world, a world she had no interest in previously. She didn't even know if this hesitation she felt was disappointing or not. But she wanted to live and continue searching for a new path. A path where she could abandon her submission to despair, where she could accept the sins of the past and continue to live. Mukuro, who was known as a war machine, found her heart beset by overwhelming fear and anxiety. Until now, it had never occurred to her that determination was necessary to live. As if she was brushing that fear aside, she quietly said, thank you, Makoto. Unfortunately, the words she said to the boy who showed her new possibilities never reached his ears. Sakura, however, heard her, and frowned as she said, if you're planning to sacrifice yourself as an act of penance, I'll stop you with all my power. Though her words were firm, there was unmistakable affection hiding in them. Both girls had dedicated their lives to battle, and yet Mukuro felt a twinge of jealousy towards Sakura for possessing something she lacked. Mukuro leaned towards Sakura and whispered in her ear, What? Are you serious? As Sakura's frown intensified, Monokuma's voice blared throughout the halls. Alright, I'm gonna start the exam now. Ready, set, go. I think maybe it's not a chapter ending, but I think this would be good. I feel like this is near the end, so like one more episode we'll get this done. I think this is good. No. I'm gonna put bookmark right here, and we're gonna finish it, hopefully. I'm gonna allow for the possibility that we won't, in the next one. I don't know what Mukuro just told Sakura, but maybe this isn't a trick? Maybe Mukuro knows it's a trick? Guess we're gonna find out in the next one. I'll see you then. Bye!